Hey everybody, Eric Weiss here. I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm going to talk to you about a topic that is really near and dear to my heart, and that is entrepreneur burnout. It's something that hit me really hard a few years ago and changed my life, and I've been working really hard at managing it ever since. And it's a topic that I bring up, with all of my coaching and consulting clients and all of my friends in the community. I think that we all need to be open about our mental health and support one another and just understand that, the business of building a company is incredibly stressful. It takes an incredible toll on our health and our relationships and our business. And by actively managing it and actively supporting each other, it's the only way that we're really gonna get through this in one piece. So today I'm going to give you the top 10 things that you must do to avoid entrepreneur burnout in your life. Before I dive in, I just want to mention quickly that my new book, Build the Right Things, is available in ebook and now audiobook format. So go to buildtherightthings.com. And my new online course, Full Cycle Product Development, is available at fullcycleproduct.com. And it's now currently on sale at an introductory price. And I'm actually going to be giving a free hour-long coaching call to the first 10 people who sign up, as a great way for me to add value and also gain your valuable feedback and make sure that I'm delivering the content and the value that you need. So let's go ahead and dive in here. First, let me tell you about my story with entrepreneur burnout. So it was a few years ago, and I was working at a health and fitness company called Rock My Run, and we were building a brand new product from scratch. It was an AI chatbot platform for the health and fitness market. And it was, needless to say, very challenging to build. It provided a lot of technology challenges. We had challenges around people. We had to let people go. We had people that weren't performing. I had challenges with my CEO, with our investors, and it was generally just a really challenging time in my life. At the same time, my wife had given birth to our second daughter. And so I wasn't sleeping. And so I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't exercising. I had no time for me. I had no time for my wife, my kids. I wasn't succeeding at work, and the stress was just overwhelming. I was drinking too much to cope. I was angry. I was depressed. All of these things. And ultimately, I had to blow up my life. I had to quit my job. I had to give up a huge equity stake in the company in order to get myself back on track, to get healthy again. I spent a few months actually spending time out in nature, just being out in the woods, thinking, listening to audiobooks, writing, journaling, and essentially just getting myself, back into a healthy frame of mind. And then also sort of dissecting and picking apart my life to determine what are the things in my life that were a net positive and a net negative, and getting rid of the things that weren't a positive impact in my life. So these were the things that worked for me and the things that still work for me to this day. And I recommend that you try them as well if you're, even if you're not necessarily feeling overwhelmed at this point, because, obviously preventative maintenance is the best. So the first, I'll kind of start off with the easy ones, and then we'll get into the more challenging and kind of routine habit changing type of activities. But the first things are just really easy. You could just start doing them. You don't even have to change your way of working. And the first thing is to do a personal retrospective at least once a week. Now, the reason for this is that it allows you to zoom in to a particular week and see the progress that was made, and to actually reflect on what you've accomplished and the growth that you've made, right? And celebrating those small wins. Okay, so just taking the time to appreciate the work that you've done and the accomplishments that you've made over the course of a week can really help to put things in perspective and, kind of rejuvenate you and essentially just keep you going. One of the things that, I think is the most impactful to our mental health are positive feedback loops, right? So, you put in some work and you want to see some results, right? Now, when you're trying to move a mountain, when you're trying to build something huge, it's really hard to see incremental progress. And so you really have to explicitly take the time to appreciate the small things. Okay. One of the great things that I like to do is to reflect on and celebrate a customer success, right? So with your early adopters and beta users, think about how you made a positive impact in those people's lives, because ultimately that's why you're doing this. That's what you're in it for, right? So not only can make yourself feel good, but you can also share that with your team, your advisors, your investors, your family. Sharing it in a newsletter out to your subscribers or your other customers. It's really great to stop and think about not the market or the audience as a whole, but an individual's life that you made an impact on. That really brings it home. Okay. Number two, you got to switch it up. Okay. So just try something different. As entrepreneurs, we like novelty. We are idea people. We're visionaries. And when we get stuck in a rut and we're sort of banging our head against the wall and we're not seeing the results that we want, it's very depressing and disheartening for our particular, the entrepreneur's particular mindset. So being able to just simply do new things is a way of energizing and invigorating us. Okay. So what I recommend is, and as I do recommend in my whole methodology of product development, is do an experiment, right? Come up with a crazy idea and try something new for a week and see if it helps or see what kind of results you get, right? And in fact, in kind of the growth hacking model, and the same model that we apply in agile product management or product development, coming up with a ton of crazy ideas and testing them is literally the way that we work, right? So if you're struggling with, not getting results that you see with what you're trying, try something different, okay? And it doesn't mean change everything. It means literally try one new thing. Or if there's one thing that's really been getting you down, try to approach it from a different angle. Meaning, try a different tool, try a different technology, try to get some help, but just try to do something different than what you're doing today that's getting you down. Okay. Those were kind of like the really, really easy ones. Now, the most important thing that you have to do is to prioritize personal care. Okay. It's a myth, and I think a really terrible one that I hate about the startup kind of environment, that the entrepreneur is supposed to be Superman or Superwoman, right? That we're somehow invincible and we're able to grind 16-hour days indefinitely. It's not true. And it's not even true of the ones that are incredibly successful, right? I mean, if you've ever seen Elon Musk's Twitter meltdowns, you know that even the most successful people in the world can succumb to, an overabundance of stress. So we got to take care of ourselves first and foremost. Like, our mind and our body is the engine that is going to get us where we need to go. So we got to take care of it. Okay. And while there will always be that mountain of work, right? There's always going to be work for you to do. The work will always be there. And there's always going to be things and people demanding your attention. If you let it go, if you don't set those boundaries and take that time for yourself, eventually you're going to burn out and you're not going to do anybody any good, right? So sleep, diet, and exercise, in that order, are the top priority. So we obviously all like to burn the candle at both ends, and sacrificing sleep, and not only just sleep, but quality sleep, is probably the worst thing that we can do, because it clouds our mind, and our mind is the thing, right, that is going to create this product and make the decisions and have the quick intuitive decisions that need to be correct, in order to take us where we need to go. So get good quality sleep, take care of your body. Don't drink alcohol or use drugs, certainly in excess, but let's just say it's a slippery slope. It's very easy to use them as a coping mechanism, and it works in the short term, but actually in the long term, it makes it worse. I know for myself, if I drink even one drink a night, after 4 or 5 days in a row, I really see it starting to affect my mood. I always say I'm feeling a little crunchy, and I feel myself getting irritable and uncomfortable, and I can't think properly, can't think straight. And then I'll do a detox and I'll feel so much better. I say, wow, why didn't I, what took me so long, right? And then, you kind of fall off again, and you get stressed again, and you fall back into that cycle. But it's something that, takes constant effort. um, Invest in personal relationships, right? So your friends and your family. This is your support group. You have to rely on the people that support you. Take care of them, and keep them in your life, and be open and honest with them about, what you're suffering through, in order for them to help, because that's how you get through it, man. We have to, we all have to get through this stuff together. And the last thing, I recommend meditation. A lot of entrepreneurs meditate. Some don't. But I think that, it doesn't have to be. It's certainly not a religious thing for me, anyway. It doesn't have to be. It could be if that's, what you're into. But it's mainly just a time to quiet your mind, quiet your thoughts, breathe, appreciate what's around you, appreciate your life and nature and so on, and just kind of take those quiet moments, because they do help you recharge. Okay. Um, okay. So the next big thing is, there's a book called The One Thing, that I read, and that, really helped me a lot, especially when I was going through the really tough time. What was happening was there was so many things for me to do, and most of those things weren't getting done. And in fact, a lot of the times, the most important things weren't getting done because there were other things that were more pressing or urgent at the time. And so, this book, and the mindset behind it, The One Thing, is basically just an exercise in prioritization, right? So thinking about what's that big goal, and then what's the one thing that I can do this year, this month, this week, today, and right now, that's going to move me in that direction. Okay. And the way I leverage this is that, every day when I would go to work, I was downtown, so I would park in a parking garage, and I'd have about a half-mile walk to my office. And during that walk, my morning ritual was to think about what's the one thing. And that was the thing that I absolutely had to get done, no matter what, no excuses, no exceptions. Meaning, if I had to cancel meetings, if I had to let things fall on the floor, if I had to delegate something, if I had to stay late at work or whatever it may be, I had to get that one thing done. And if I got that one thing done, I was accomplished. Nothing else. If everything else went off the rails, if I let everything else fall on the floor, but I accomplished that one thing, I declared myself a winner for that day. And just that made me feel so much better about just dealing with the chaos and the constant mountain, the avalanche of work, that I had to deal with, to say, hey, you know what? That mountain of work, it'll be there tomorrow. The things that fell on the floor that caused us some pain or some problems, okay, that hurt, but the most important thing got done, and I should be proud of that. Okay. Um, okay, so now we start getting into, there's a kind of the basic exercises and the foundation. Now let's talk about how you can really start to change your daily life, in order to, be able to manage and cope with the stress. So, controlling your calendar is a huge thing. Now, I mean by this is actually, it's essentially living your life with intention. Okay, so, not being sort of tugged around on a leash by your calendar, by all the different meetings that you have, or by whoever's, calling you or blowing up your phone. It's that you decide. You're the founder. You're the one in charge. You decide what you do with your day. Okay, and so you decide what meetings you're going to take. You decide when you're going to go to the gym. You decide what you're going to work on, and so on. And so that you at least feel like you have control, because being out of control is incredibly stressful. Not only being out of control, but even being kind of on autopilot, right? If we don't have intention, and we're being, again, dragged around, or we're just sort of following our calendar throughout the day, we let go, and our brain disengages, and we get that kind of fuzzy feeling, right? And so that feeling of being disengaged and being out of control is very stressful. So we have to kind of step forward and have the intention and control over our lives and our days. And so we do that by controlling our calendar. So two things that I like to do, and again, that I recommend for all of my coaching clients is theme your days as much as possible. Essentially trying to eliminate context switching as much as you can. Okay. Context switching is the bane of any entrepreneur's existence because it's incredibly wasteful. I have other, talks and articles that go into this, but you essentially are cutting your productivity in half if you've got a whole bunch of different meetings on your calendar that are all thematically different, right? So you want to have, as much complementary context, if you will, as you go through your day. So you might have one day that's focused on product, one day that's focused on hiring, one day that's focused on fundraising or what have you. But as much as possible, you want to create these large blocks of time that are all kind of related to the same thing. Okay. And then in general, I like to have focus blocks of time that every single day, okay, for at least 2 hours, but maybe more, up to four, let's say 2 2-hour blocks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, is time that you block off on your calendar, right? So it's not for a specific task, but it's an ongoing daily block of time where you don't schedule any meetings. And that's when you accomplish the one thing. So the one thing that you decided to do, you've blocked 4 hours out of your day to get that done. And as long as you respect that time and you don't allow anything to bleed into it, you'll be able to accomplish it and feel good about yourself. So you have to shut off all your notifications. You have to kind of get yourself mentally prepared, make sure that you have everything that you need in order to get that thing done, and then sit down for 2 hours and just crank away at it, and you'll be amazed at the productivity. Okay. The next big thing is setting clear boundaries in your life. Okay, so it's sort of related to controlling your calendar and having that intention, but it's essentially knowing that you can't be in two places at once, right? So back to that context switching. And so wherever you are, whatever you're supposed to be doing at that moment, you're all in. Meaning if you're at the gym taking care of yourself, that's what you're focused on. If you're with your family, that's what you're focused on. And if you're working on your one thing, that's what you're focused on. And if you're in a meeting, you're completely focused on that. So setting these clear boundaries between everything that you do throughout the day, again, allows you to be fully engaged, not off, in la la land or thinking about so many different things at once, which again, increases that level of stress. So as much as you can engage in focused activity and being present, right? And this is where that meditation plays in as well. Practicing being focused and present, will allow you to essentially just be better at what you do, but then also, again, eliminate that stress. Okay. One thing that I like to do is to work in small blocks and then take breaks. So there's something called the Pomodoro Technique, which works really well for me and for all the teams that I work with. But essentially it means you set a timer either for 30 or 45 minutes. And you basically, you work really hard. You're very focused for that period of time. And then you take a 5-minute break. And you go outside and you get some fresh air, get some water, go to the bathroom, right? And then you come back for another 30 minutes and you do it again. It really helps you to stay at a high level of productivity throughout the day because you don't feel like there's this gigantic block of time that you have to struggle through. It's that you're only working in these small increments. So you can always tell yourself, it's only 15 more minutes. I can focus for 15 more minutes. I can focus for 30 more minutes. I can do this, right? And then also by taking those breaks, it actually allows your brain to really process what you've done and what you've learned or what you've accomplished, and sort of, cleanly package up the thing you did, put it into long-term memory or what have you, and then prepare with a clean mind for the next thing. All right. Okay. So those are sort of the productivity sides of the equation. Now I want to talk about the human and relationship and support side of things. Okay, so the first thing that I recommend is you have to engage in your community. It's always amazing to me. I did it myself, but it's always amazing to me how entrepreneurs are alone. They're so heads down in what they're doing that that they stop to look around and realize that there are dozens or hundreds or thousands of people around you going through the same things. And just by connecting with each other and talking with one another and building relationships, not only is it helpful to support one another, right? But it also allows you to I mean, solve each other's problems, right? You don't have to solve everything for the first time on your own. I guarantee you there's someone, if you nurture your network, there's someone in your network who can help you, whether it's finding good talent, whether it's, solving a tough problem or making a decision between, some new technology or something like that. Leverage your network and engage in this incredible support group, right, of entrepreneurs that are around you, either, in your city or on the internet. Okay. And share what works and what doesn't, right? So think of it as a learning community. It's a support group just to vent about the challenges that you're facing, but it's also an opportunity for you to experiment with each other, but also learn from each other's experiments. Hey, I'm trying to solve this problem. I've got these different ideas. Has anybody tried anything like this? Oh yeah, this really worked. This really didn't work, right? Save your time, right? So engage in your community as much as you can. Pull your head up out of the weeds now again. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean going to a networking group, right? But it could be. It could be a networking group. It could be, joining an incubator, an accelerator. It could be just simply joining an online community on Slack. There's lots of entrepreneur Slack groups out there that you can leverage. So another is hire help, right? Outsource. In my last video, I talked about delegating. Whether it's small things, small projects, menial tasks, especially things that just generally get you down, pay somebody else to do it. I know you can do your own taxes, but why? I know it's expensive to pay that CPA to do it, but think about how much, not only a drag on, it's a drag on your time, but it's also a drag on your energy, right? Get that off of your plate. Get somebody else to do it. Focus on the things that rejuvenate you and energize you and that you really bring, value to, and then try to outsource everything else that you can. Now that means, again, I talked about, my last article and video and everything around leverage, right? So getting people in your network, hiring people, whether it's full-time, part-time, friends, family, what have you, but just reach out and try to get help. Okay. And the last big thing is to find an advisor, a mentor, or a coach. Find somebody who is, maybe a couple years down the road from you, who is, as we say, sort of one chapter ahead of you, and ask for their help, right? So, and don't be afraid to reach out in your community. You'd be amazed how when people, people who are successful, people who are, a little bit farther along in their career are more than happy to help you. And they want to help because they want to give back and they want to support, the others that are coming up behind them. And obviously lots of experience and lessons learned. And, I wish I knew, at this point. So I'm going to try to do my best to teach. And, they'll help you get perspective, right? They're going to let you know like, hey, what you're going through is totally normal, right? And they'll give you new ideas to try, right? Because again, they've got more experience than you. So try to find a mentor, try to find an advisor, and certainly, you can hire someone like myself as a coach. And I've certainly seen my fair share of rodeos and war stories and what have you, and I'm happy to help. Okay, I've been talking for quite a while, so I think I'll leave it there. Those are the top 10 things that you must do to avoid entrepreneur burnout. I would love to hear your story, so please leave me a comment or send me a message on whatever platform you can connect with me on. And as always, you can go to fullcycleproduct.com and sign up and engage with me over email as well. So thank you so much for watching, and stick to it, and I hope you have a great week. Take care.